All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I'm Anuja Kumar and with me is Sunil Verma. The headlines. Quad countries unequivocally condemn terrorism, denounces 26/11 and Pathankot attacks. Government allows duty-free import of 20 lakh ton of crude soya bean and sunflower oil per annum. Government restricts sugar exports to 10 million tons during current season. Centre launches Swachh Sarvekshan 2023 under Swachh Bharat Mission Urban 2.0. Sacked Punjab Health Minister Vijay Singla remanded to police custody till 27th of this month. CBI to question Congress MP Karti Chidambaram in connection with Chinese visa scam today. Supreme Court asks Jharkhand High Court to consider maintainability of PIL against Chief Minister Hemant Soren. WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus re-elected for second term. 18 children and 3 teachers killed in a shootout at Texas school in US. And Gujarat Titans beat Rajasthan Royals by 7 wickets to enter the final of IPL cricket. As our nation celebrates the 75th year of independence, a series of events are being organized by the government as a part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. To commemorate the occasion as a Jan Utsav, All India Radio News brings its listeners a special quiz on India's freedom movement and its glorious history. Recalling our yesterday's question, the call for renunciation of all voluntary association with the British government was given during which movement? The correct answer is non-cooperation movement. AIR News got an overwhelming response from its listeners across the world, and the one lucky winner of the quiz is Kailash Gurjar from Dausa Khurd in Dausa, Rajasthan.
I am Kailash Gurjar from Dausa, Rajasthan. I am very happy that we are celebrating 75 years of our independence. I pay my tribute to known and unknown freedom fighters of our country. Jai Hind.
The next question of Amrit Mahotsav quiz will be shared with the listeners on Monday, the 30th of May. Celebrate 75 years of India's independence by participating in Amrit Mahotsav quiz with AIR News. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrived in New Delhi last night after participating in the Quad Leaders Summit as part of his 2-day visit to Japan. Besides Mr. Modi, the Quad Summit was attended by US President Joe Biden and Prime Ministers of Japan and Australia. During the summit, the leaders reiterated their shared commitment to a free, open and inclusive Indo-Pacific and the importance of upholding the principles of sovereignty, territorial integrity and peaceful resolution of disputes. They exchanged perspectives on developments in the Indo-Pacific and the conflict in Europe. He participated in the event to launch the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework for Prosperity and chaired a business roundtable in Tokyo. The Prime Minister also interacted with members of the Indian community. Meanwhile, Quad leaders have unequivocally condemned terrorism and violent extremism in all its forms and manifestations. In a joint statement, Quad leaders said that there could be no justification for acts of terror. They also reiterated their condemnation of terrorist attacks, including Pathankot and 26/11 Mumbai attacks perpetrated by Pakistan-based terror outfits. Foreign Secretary Vinay Mohan Kwatra said that there was an excellent warmth between the leaders during the summit. He added that they also held productive and meaningful discussions that were marked by a cooperative and constructive agenda.
During the Quad were based on a very constructive and forward-leaning cooperative agenda between the Quad countries as also between the Quad and the other countries of the Indo-Pacific. Naturally, during the various agenda items of the Quad, the discussions did focus on what could be the way forward for cooperation among the Quad countries. The leaders also discussed the challenges and the opportunities that are there in the Indo-Pacific Indo-Pacific region, those relating to the COVID-19 pandemic, the post-COVID recovery, building of health preparedness in terms of health infrastructure so that such pandemics could be fought, were discussed very extensively and discussed in terms of what they can do forward.
Mr. Quatra said Quad leaders focused on action-oriented cooperation among Quad partners and the countries of the Indo-Pacific for a free, open and inclusive Indo-Pacific aimed at peace, stability and prosperity in the region.
Discussions during the summit were focused on mutually beneficial consultations, and as I said, agenda was constructive and the tone positive. 2. Support for ASEAN unity and centrality as Quad and the countries in the Indo-Pacific pursue their shared goals in the region. 3. Focus on common efforts to respond on COVID-19, including in particular the post-pandemic recovery and strengthening of health security and health-related infrastructure.
The centre has allowed import of 20 lakh metric tons each of crude soybean oil and crude sunflower seed oil per year for a period of 2 years at a nil rate of customs duty and agricultural infrastructure and development cess. This will provide significant relief to the consumers. The exemption from customs duty and agricultural infrastructure and development cess will be effective from today. The exemption will help cool domestic prices and control inflation. The government has announced a curb on export of sugar beyond 10 million tons during this sugar season ending September. The government said this has been done considering the high increase in exports of the sweetener in the past few months. As per the new guideline, sugar mills and exporters need to take approvals in the form of export release orders, EROs, from the Food Ministry. Sugar exports have been allowed up to May the 31st without any ERO or approval. For exports between June the 1st and October the 30th, ERO will be required. India consumes around 24 lakh tons of sugar every month.
The Union Government has launched the 8th edition of Swachh Sarvekshan SS 2023 under Swachh Bharat Mission Urban 2.0. Secretary, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs Manoj Joshi launched it at a virtual event in New Delhi yesterday. Designed with the theme of Waste to Wealth as its driving philosophy, Swachh Sarvekshan 2023 is curated towards achieving circularity in waste management. The survey would give priority to the principle of 3 R's: reduce, recycle and reuse. Speaking at the launch event, Mr. Manoj Joshi said that the Swachh Sarvekshan has developed into an inspiration tool rather than being just an assessment tool. This largest survey undertaken anywhere has brought about substantive changes at the ground level, with cities performing well, having a sense of pride. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla will visit Jaipur today to participate in many programs. He will interact with young entrepreneurs. They will honor medical workers and corona warriors. Mr. Birla will inaugurate a multi-purpose educational institution of Maheshwari Samaj in Jaipur.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit Hyderabad and Chennai tomorrow. He will participate in the celebration of completion of 20 years of Indian School of Business, Hyderabad, and address the graduation ceremony of the postgraduate program class of 2022. Later, the Prime Minister will dedicate to the nation and lay the foundation stone of 11 projects worth over 31,400 crore rupees at JLN Indoor Stadium in Chennai. These projects will also help significantly improve socio-economic prosperity in the region, have a transformative impact on several sectors, and also help create employment opportunities. In Chennai, the Prime Minister will dedicate to the nation 5 projects worth over 2,900 crore rupees. The 75-kilometer-long Madurai-Theni railway gauge conversion project, built at a project cost of over 500 crore rupees, will facilitate access and give a boost to tourism in the region. President Ramnath Kovind will arrive in Thiruvananthapuram tonight. He will inaugurate the first ever 2-day National Conference of Women Legislators at the Legislature Complex tomorrow morning. Kerala Governor Arif Mohammed Khan will preside over the function. Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan, Assembly Speaker M.B. Rajesh and legislators from different states are expected to participate. You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Quad countries unequivocally condemned terrorism, denounces 2611 and Pathankot attacks. Government allows duty-free import of 20 lakh tons of crude soybean and sunflower oil per annum. Government restricts sugar exports to 10 million tons during the current season. Centre launches Swachh Survekshan 2023 under Swachh Bharat Mission Urban 2.0. Sacked Punjab Health Minister Vijay Singla remanded to police custody till the 27th of this month. CBI to question Congress MP Karti Chidambaram in connection with Chinese visa scam today. Supreme Court asks Jharkhand High Court to consider maintainability of PIL against Chief Minister Hemant Soren. WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus re-elected for second term. 18 children and 3 teachers killed in a shootout at Texas school in the US. And Gujarat Titans beat Rajasthan Royals by 7 wickets to enter the final of IPL cricket. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
क्या आप कॉम्पिटिशन्स की तैयारी कर रहे हैं? आपके लिए आकाशवाणी लाया है एक इंटरैक्टिव प्रोग्राम अभ्यास, एक ऐसा प्रोग्राम जहां आप पूछेंगे सवाल व्हाट्सएप नंबर 9289094044 पर या फिर ईमेल भी कर सकते हैं abhyas.airnews@gmail.com पर. हमारे स्टूडियो में एक्सपर्ट आपके सवाल का जवाब देंगे शनिवार रात 9:30 बजे. इस बार का विषय है इंडियन पॉलिटी सेंटर स्टेट रिलेशंस. आपके सवालों का हम करेंगे इंतजार 25 मई तक. आपका अभ्यास हमारा प्रयास. अपने बिजनेस को बढ़ाने के लिए लीजिए आकाशवाणी का सहयोग और दीजिए उसे बुलंदियों के पंख.
आपका बिजनेस लोकल है या राष्ट्रीय, आकाशवाणी देती है उपभोक्ताओं तक पहुंचने का हर विकल्प.
और अब तो आप घर, दफ्तर या दुकान पर बैठे बैठे कर सकते हैं आकाशवाणी के किसी भी केंद्र के लिए विज्ञापनों की बुकिंग.
आकाशवाणी के विभिन्न चैनलों पर विज्ञापन देना सुलभ और सस्ता.
बुकिंग हेतु संपर्क करें 8700014242 पर.
8700014242.
Welcome back to the morning news on All India Radio. A Mohali court has remanded former Punjab Health Minister Dr. Vijay Singla to police custody till the 27th of this month. He was produced in the court following his arrest by anti-corruption wing of Punjab Police. Earlier in the day, Punjab Chief Minister Bhagwant Mann dropped Singla from his cabinet over corruption charges levelled against him. Revealing the corruption charges against Mr. Singla, the Chief Minister recommended the police to register a case against him. The Central Bureau of Investigation has summoned Congress MP Karti Chidambaram to join the probe in connection with a fresh case lodged against him and others for allegedly helping Chinese nationals getting visas by flouting rules. He has been summoned to appear before the probe agency at 11 a.m. today at the CBI headquarters in New Delhi. Karti's chartered accountant S. Bhaskar Raman is currently on custodial remand of the CBI. There is a possibility that Karti might be confronted with him. The CBI has recovered 65,000 emails in the matter, which will be used as evidences. According to the FIR, a Mansa, which is in Punjab, based private firm, Talwandi Sabo Power Limited, took help of a middleman and allegedly paid 50 lakh rupees to get the visa issued for Chinese nationals so that the firm completes a project before the deadline. The private firm was in the process of establishing a 1,980 megawatt thermal power plant, the work for which was outsourced to a Chinese company. The project was running behind its schedule.
The Supreme Court has directed the Jharkhand High Court to first consider the maintainability of a PIL seeking probe by CBI and Enforcement Directorate into the mining lease granted to Chief Minister Hemant Soren by himself. A bench comprising Justices D.Y. Chandrachud and Bela M. Trivedi directed the Jharkhand High Court to first consider the maintainability of the PIL pending before the High Court. The apex court was hearing a plea by Jharkhand government challenging the May the 13th and May the 17th orders of the High Court in the PIL. Jharkhand government and Chief Minister Soren have sought dismissal of the PIL on the ground of maintainability. The PIL seeks probes by CBI and ED into the mining lease that was granted to the Jharkhand Chief Minister and some shell companies operated by his family members and associates. And now let's listen to our special program, Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव।
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. Birth of a nation. India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day.
In today's episode, we remember transnational freedom fighter Sardar Sinhji Rawaji Rana, who died on the 25th of May 1957. S.R. Rana was a founding member of the Paris Indian Society and the Vice President of the Indian Home Rule Society.
Rana was born on 10th of April 1870 in Kathiawar, Gujarat. A classmate of Mahatma Gandhi during high school, Rana studied in Fergusson College, Pune, where he came in contact with Lokmanya Tilak and Surendranath Banerjee. He got inspired to join the freedom movement as he volunteered at the Indian National Congress Conference in Pune in 1895. In London, while pursuing law, he came in contact with Shyamji Krishna Verma and Bhikaji Kama. He was instrumental in the establishment of India House in London.
In 1899, Rana left for Paris and came to associate with Indian nationalist politicians, including Lala Lajpat Rai, who is known to have visited Paris and stayed with Rana. In 1905, Rana became one of the founding members of the Indian Home Rule Society. Together with Muncher Shah Barjorji Godrej and Bhikaji Kama, he founded the Paris Indian Society that same year as an extension of the Indian Home Rule Society on the European continent. Rana announced 3 scholarships for Indian students, each worth 2,000 rupees, in memory of Maharana Pratap, Chhatrapati Shivaji and Akbar in the December 1905 issue of the Indian Sociologist.
Rana helped the Indian independence movement in several ways. Madan Lal Dhingra had used his pistol to assassinate Curzon Bailey in 1909. He also helped Vinayak Damodar Savarkar to publish his banned book, The Indian War of Independence. He had also helped Savarkar in his Makhsai asylum case in the Permanent Court of Arbitration, The Hague, in 1910. Lala Lajpat Rai had written Unhappy India during his stay in his house for 5 years. He had helped Senapati Bapat to travel to study making of bombs in Moscow. He had helped Subhash Chandra Bose to address the audience on German radio. He had also helped in the establishment of Banaras Hindu University.
Rana developed close links with the French and Russian socialist movements, and along with Bhikaji Kama attended the Second Socialist Congress at Stuttgart on 18th of August 1907, where the flag of Indian independence was presented by Kama. Rana was a regular contributor to Bande Mataram, published by Kama from Paris, and the Talwar, published from Berlin, which were then smuggled into India.
Due to his nationalist activities, Rana was expelled by the French government to Martinique in 1911. The activities of the Paris Indian Society were also curtailed under pressure from the French Sûreté and finally suspended in 1914. Rana underwent a lot of personal losses in his life as his son and wife died. Thereafter, he abstained from public life and returned to India after independence in 1948.
S.R. Rana died on the 25th of May 1957 in Veraval, Gujarat. He was awarded the Chevalier by the French government in 1951. His portraits are placed in the Gujarat Legislative Assembly and his place of death in Veraval. AIR News salutes the great nationalist.
We also also remember Manipuri freedom fighter Kajao alias Pukramba, a resident of Kangamong, Manipur, on 24th of March 1891. When British troops launched an attack on the Manipuri fort, Kajao killed the British political agent Grimwood. He was sentenced to death on the 19th of May 1891. Following his capture, Kajao was hanged on the 25th of May 1891 at the west gate of the fort. Kajao is remembered for sacrificing his life for the independent kingdom of Manipur. We salute the great martyr.
We also remember Manipuri freedom fighter Hirang Khokja, who fought against the British in Anglo-Manipur War in 1891. Khokja hailed from the village Hirang in Manipur. He died at the Kongjom battlefield on the 25th of May 1891 during the Anglo-Manipur War. We salute the great martyr.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow. Minister of State for Culture and External Affairs Meenakshi Lekhi has said that India, with its diverse cultural expression, ensures to provide a platform to the BRICS countries to familiarize cultural values through exchange programs. She was speaking at the 7th BRICS Culture Ministers meeting yesterday, hosted by China through video conference. Ms. Lekhi said India believes in diversity of cultural heritage and intercultural dialogue. She asserted that India strongly advocates sustainable and resilient environment, integrating heritage and traditional knowledge into innovative and culture-based solutions to environmental concerns. In the United States, a teenage gunman has killed 18 children and 3 teachers and injured others at a Texas elementary school in Uvalde. Texas Governor Greg Abbott said that the 18-year-old gunman has been killed. The pupils were in 2nd, 3rd and 4th grades, meaning aged between 7 and 10 years. It is the deadliest shooting at a U.S. grade school since the shocking attack at Sandy Hook Elementary in Newtown, Connecticut, almost a decade ago. It came just 10 days after a gunman in body armor killed 10 black shoppers and workers at a supermarket in Buffalo, New York. Abbott said the gunman entered Robb Elementary School in Uvalde with a handgun and possibly a rifle. Officials did not immediately reveal a motive, but the governor identified the assailant as Salvador Ramos. Abbott said the shooter was likely killed by police officers, but that the events were still being investigated. The school district's police chief, Pete Arredondo, said that the attacker acted alone. Robb Elementary School has an enrollment of just under 600 students. U.S. President Joe Biden has ordered flags flown at half-staff until sunset daily until May the 28th in observance of the tragedy. He delivered an emotional call for new restrictions on firearms after a gunman opened fire at a Texas elementary school. He asked, "When in God's name we're going to stand up to the gun lobby?" He said this at the White House shortly after returning from a 5-day trip to Asia.
What do I say to my other children? What happens tomorrow? May God bless the loss of innocent life on this sad day. And may the Lord be near the brokenhearted and save those crushed in spirit, because they're going to need a lot of help, a lot of our prayers.
In Brazil, at least 21 people were shot dead in Rio de Janeiro slum during a police raid to capture the leaders of a drug trafficking organization. Military police said they came under gunfire as they approached the northern Rio slum called Villa Cruzeiro with the mission of locating and arresting criminals. 7 injured people were taken to hospital, including a policeman. Residents said 19 schools in the area were closed because of the gunfire. World Health Organization Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus has been re-elected for the 2nd term. In a tweet, the WHO said the World Health Assembly member states re-elected Dr. Tedros to serve a second 5-year term as the Director General of the WHO. His new mandate officially commences on 16th of August this year. His re-election was confirmed during the 75th World Health Assembly in Geneva. He was the sole candidate. Dr. Tedros was first elected in 2017.
In IPL cricket, Gujarat Titans stormed into the final after beating Rajasthan Royals by 7 wickets in Qualifier 1 at the Eden Gardens in Kolkata last night. Put into bat first, Rajasthan posted 188 runs for the loss of 6 wickets in the stipulated 20 overs with the help of Jos Buttler's 89 off 56 and skipper Sanju Samson's 47 runs off 26. In reply, Gujarat overhauled the target, losing 3 wickets in 19.3 overs, riding on David Miller's unbeaten 68 off 38 balls and skipper Hardik Pandya's not out 40 off 27 balls. Rajasthan Royals will now face the winner of the eliminator match between Lucknow Super Giants and Royal Challengers Bangalore in the hope to enter the final of the tournament. Lucknow will take on Bangalore today at the Eden Gardens, Kolkata at 7:30 p.m. In the Men's Asia Cup Hockey Championship, defending champions India went down 2-5 to Japan in their second match at Jakarta, Indonesia yesterday. After this defeat, India are now placed third position in Group A. In their opening pool match on Monday, India drew 1-1 against Pakistan. Japan moved to the top spot with 2 wins from the same number of matches. India will meet hosts Indonesia tomorrow to round off their league engagements at 5 p.m. Indian time.
Now, let's have a look at the weather forecast for today. National capital Delhi will have partly cloudy sky. Minimum temperature was 20 degrees Celsius and maximum expected to be 36 degrees. Mumbai will have generally cloudy sky with light rain and maximum temperature likely to be 33 degrees Celsius. Chennai will have rain and thunderstorm and upper limit of temperature is expected to be 39 degrees Celsius. Kolkata will have partly cloudy sky with possibility of moderate rain or thunderstorm. Maximum temperature is likely to climb up to 36 degrees Celsius. Srinagar will also have partly cloudy sky. Jammu will have mainly clear sky. Temperature will hover between 18 and 35 degrees Celsius. Leh will have partly cloudy sky. Minimum temperature was 5 and maximum will be 20 degrees Celsius. Muzaffarabad is likely to have mainly clear sky with temperature hovering between 19 and 35 degrees Celsius. Gilgit will have partly cloudy sky as temperature will rise from a minimum of 15 degrees Celsius to a maximum of 30 degrees. Visakhapatnam will have generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. Hyderabad will have partly cloudy sky with possibility of rain or thunderstorm or dust storm.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. Front page of all the dailies have mentioned about the just concluded Quad summit in Japan. Quoting the Prime Minister, the pioneer says, Quad agenda aids peace in Indo-Pacific, writes the Tribune. While the Tribune writes, in a message to China, Quad opposes altering status quo. On the bilateral meet between India and the US, the Economic Times writes, Modi-Biden launch initiative on new tech to expand defense ties. Government allows duty-free import of crude soybean, sunflower oil in another measure to cool inflation, reports Hindustan Times. Praising the Indian businesses' exports, Piyush Goyal bats for local supply chains at Davos meet, notes the Hindu. And finally, the Times of India cites a milestone in pollution fight in a story under the headline, DTC enters electric age with flagging off 150 buses. 2,000 within a year promised, 3 new electric bus depots also inaugurated.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Quad countries unequivocally condemn terrorism, denounces 26/11 and Pathankot attacks. Government allows duty-free import of 20 lakh tons of crude soybean and sunflower oil per annum. Government restricts sugar exports to 10 million tons during current season. Centre launches Swachh Sarvekshan 2023 under Swachh Bharat Mission Urban 2.0. Sacked Punjab Health Minister Vijay Singla remanded to police custody till 27th of this month. CBI to question Congress MP Karti Chidambaram in connection with Chinese visa scam today. Supreme Court asks Jharkhand High Court to consider maintainability of PIL against Chief Minister Hemant Soren. WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus re-elected for second term. 18 children and 3 teachers killed in a shootout at Texas school in the US, and Gujarat Titans beat Rajasthan Royals by 7 wickets to enter the final of IPL cricket. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.